If I was watching a movie about me and I thought, ooh, don't risk your money and make something, I thought, what a right?
I mean, you're just going on to some other mining camp. It's probably worse than this.
Yeah, and I guess you don't ask for consideration, do you?
Well, you can just spend your life trying to make your pile grow bigger and bigger, and I've not been really terribly great at that. And I'm like anybody else. I'd like it to be big, but not at the expense of not doing what I feel like I would love to do. And if no one will help me do it, and I believe strongly in its entertainment value, there's commerce on my mind. But I don't let it overshadow the entertainment value and the essence of what I'm trying to portray. And so I don't try to let that fear of that control my instincts on any level. I don't want to live that way. If I was watching a movie about me and I thought, ooh, don't risk your money and make something, I thought, what a right?
It was an easy decision. You didn't look around at your Santa Barbara estate and...
No, it wasn't an easy decision, but it was like the decision I needed to make. It's like, wow, why am I having to do this? I think I'm making mainstream entertainment. I don't know what you felt about the movie, but I feel like it's really mainstream. I don't feel that I'm an avant-garde type of person. But yet, I think my things are a little off. I'm willing to see a woman bathe because her desire to be clean was so pronounced. And if you're a woman, who wouldn't want to be? But then in the next moment, you realize that it's against the rule, man. You could cost yourself your life, and other people in this thing. And so that scene became important to make the next scene become important, which is you just broke the rule. And it was like, what are you talking about? So to me, a scene like that is just as important as a gunfight. And if that kind of scene doesn't want to exist in a mainstream movie, because it's really easy to understand, but maybe the school thought, well, you don't need that. You don't need that. We just look, deal with it. Everybody knows that horses need water. Really? Do you? Actually, do you? Really? Because you don't. Because Luke Wilson says really smartly, 14 miles, that's what we got to make a day. That's our preservation. And we need to do that. So I'm really terribly interested in that, working inside the framework of a story that's trying to take you someplace that has entertainment value.
I enjoyed it very much. I saw it in New York, before coming here, and it reminded me in its scope of Lonesome Dove, the book and the mini-series, which made me wonder if you had pondered this being a mini-series. Could this have been a series rather than a series of films?
I guess it will be. They're going to break this up into 100 pieces. You know what I mean? After 4 of these, they're going to have 13, 14 hours of film, and they're going to turn that into 25 hours of TV, and they're going to do whatever they're going to do. But that's just the way we live in our life. But it forever will also exist in this form, and that was important for me to make sure that happened. So important that I was willing to pay for it.
I mean, it's quite a bold theatrical release you have plans. What interests you about? I don't think it's been tried recently. What interested you about having these films in theaters back to back?
The studio wanted to try that. I knew this was going to come out fairly quickly, like every 4 months or every 5 months, and that may have been easier. But this is something that they feel like that they. People can remember the first one and can tie into the second one. And I built in to all of them a montage moment of what's coming, where it's coming to. So that's a studio decision.
I think of you almost like Gary Cooper in representing something intrinsically American on screen. I don't know if you feel that same way, but I'm curious what brings you back to the West? What keeps bringing you back to the West?
Well, I like seeing behavior in men that makes sense. I make movies for men. I just make sure there's great women characters, because that's really important to me. The backbone of our movie is actually women and how they go through it. But I don't like boys behaving stupid. I like the little boy who takes the 2 horses and effectively saves his life. I like seeing people behave honestly in desperate situations. The heroism of a little boy to saying, "I'll stay with you, Dad," is a really powerful moment. That's my son, and it was very hard to watch, but it probably happened a lot of times. He should have gone down. That's where he should have gone, but we love him because he stayed up. And so you can create that architecture. In my composer, in a very interesting moment, when because I talked to him a lot about this, in a very interesting moment where that family blows themselves up rather than watch his wife be raped and tortured and his child, he blows himself up. Instead of the music going down, it went up. If you ever watch it again, watch that moment, and you think there's a pride suddenly in a level of heroism that, Jesus, he just made a choice. And there are hard choices that were made out there every day. And at that moment, that was a choice. Everything I love, I'm blowing up to not see it hurt. I want that architecture in my work. And in a Western, it came often because there was no law and the land was contested. And you were being tested by other men. The character who challenges me, the only reason he's doing it is because I just happen to be there. He's a bully. He's a sociopath. He's a psychotic killer, and he's just been humiliated by his older brother. And I can't make heads or tails. That's why I pull my gun out early. I cock it. I'm thinking, if this guy goes one more step with me, and he just made a mistake. He's usually eating fish, and he got eaten.
I'd just like to have a drink tonight with someone who knows how to act.
When you were thinking about this sort of story of the frontier, of the sense of people compelled by a manifest destiny, what were you thinking in terms of what you wanted the narrative, the Native American perspective and element of your story to be?
Well, confusion about it. The number one, it's the idea that in what the Colonel says, he says, if we salt the earth with enough of their dead, the wagons won't come anymore. And the reality is that, that's what we would normally think, that we wouldn't want to repeat. But when you're that far out there, you can't go. When people said goodbye in the East Coast, it was a goodbye. They didn't come back. It was too far. It was too hard. And so you get out there. So what do you tell your wife? And in Dan's, you tell her that we're going to be luckier than them. And so the confusion for the Native American was they couldn't make sense of that. That normally, if you kill enough people, they won't bother you. But these Americans, these people, they were getting these flyers saying you could have this land, and there's salesmen in every century, every decade, that's selling something they don't really know what it is or it doesn't work, but it's just America. It's just this giant experiment of hope.
It means different things to different people, though, right? I mean, you have Chinese immigrants in the film as well.
Yeah, and you realize that they run out of their usefulness. There was a moment where that when it's like when they weren't useful, they were just cast away, and they had to create a sense of community, and they came in mass. They came together. They got very industrious. They'll be the wealthiest people in that town until there's a tipping point and racism kicks in, and suddenly they're gone too. You watch. That's what would happen in real life. They would be victimized. And this family that helped build this town, if you wanted to continue that story out, there would be pretty soon somebody would just, in the middle of the night, take it from them.
I guess what I'm getting at is there's tragedy in this. Maybe you think of this as a tragedy.
There's inevitable tragedy, to it. And there's divisions. You see a whole tribe break up in half. You see a father break from a son. It says, you know, and the father has a viewpoint of what happens if we keep messing with these people, and the other one saying, well, what choice do we have? You know, it's an honest debate. It's an ugly moment, and the tribe splits. Sad moment.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The 3 and 4. Have you already started shooting yet?
Screen 3. I'm started 3, not 4. Jesus, I wish I was on 4.
Where are you on 3?
Well, I've shot 3 days, and I'll go back and I continue to have to press for money to finish this. I have to figure out what else I can do to make this, you know. But I'm not waiting to see how people feel. I know what this is, and I think if people love the movie experience, I think they have a really good chance at liking this and wanting to see the next one. That's all I can believe. I don't have to wait. The prudent thing would be to wait, but I guess I'm not built that way.
My sense for what some of the difficulty with Yellowstone was having to wait. What is your feeling about your future with Yellowstone at this point?
Yellowstone was really important in my life. I really love that world. And what we were able to do in 5 seasons, I only thought it would be 1, but I did 5. I was willing to do 3 more, 5, 6, and 7, but it just didn't happen. Certain things were going on, and it just didn't happen. So the idea of going back is really, I'm open to that idea, but it's based on everything that the first 3, the 4 were based on, which is, the scripts, and I'm very open to going back on it. It was really important to me.
And so you're now in Cannes, I imagine. I know you've already sold this to some international territories. How do you feel about bringing it here?
Well, I thank God for Cannes to be here, because I'm an independent filmmaker essentially, and I'm here kind of by myself. And it's like this greatest platform, greatest festival in the world has accepted my movie. So this is a high moment for me, in the sense that it's actually helping me to create an awareness for a movie. I don't have all the money in the world to expose this movie, but I have my time and a platform here, and I have international partners. It's really important for me to stand by my movie, stand for it.